Okay, so welcome back to yet another weekly GMBN Tech show. As you can see, I'm not in the usual tech set. We are here live at Nove Mesto for the third round of the UCI Mountain Bike World Cup. Of course, there's plenty of action been going on over the weekend, and hopefully you've checked out our XC Tech video yesterday. Coming up on this week's show, there's loads of tech stuff from this very event, all the usual good stuff from you, and we've got our very first Bike Cave video entry. Okay, so straight into tech news, and the first thing to talk about is the brand new XTR group set. So the first thing you might want to know is how many speeds has it got. So it's 12 speed now, and they're doing two options. They're doing 1x and they're doing a 2x. The 2x, in case you're wondering, they're doing that because the European market still demands it. Some of those marathon rides like the Cape Epic and that, you really do need a big spread of gears because you're out for a long time. Now there's two cassette choices. There's a 1045 and there's a 1051. Why the 51, you might ask? Well, that's basically so they can make the gear shifting as smooth transition as possible. If you're running the 2x up front, you're limited. You can only run the 1045. Have a look at it on screen now. It's a pretty nice looking bit of kit. There's also some improvements to the brakes. The brake levers have got two mount points now, or rather one mount point, and they contact the bar in two places. So it's a more rigid sort of basis on the handlebar there. And generally the whole group set just looks incredible. For full details on that, go to our tech show from yesterday. So another really cool thing here from Nove Mesto was to go and see the Specialized guys who were developing their own tyre sealant when we visited them last in Stellenbosch. Of course, it was just in prototype stage, and the mechanic JP took us through it then, and now it's in production. You can buy it already, it's on the Specialized website, and all of the team racers are using it. It's bio-friendly, it biodegrades, it's all of that sort of good stuff, non-toxic. It doesn't sort of turn into little particles on the inside of your tyre. It's designed to last, and of course it doesn't dry out in the heat. So that's a really nice new tyre sealant on the market, well worth checking out. Also, whilst at the Specialized stand, we noticed that they've improved and increased their range of cross-country tyres. Mainly they're offering 27.5 and 29s, and they've got the Renegade, the Fast Track and the Ground Control. Renegade is their fastest rolling tyre, and they've actually got their lightest tyre in the Renegade carcass, which weighs just 511 grams, so that's great for you cross-country guys. The Ground Control at the other end of the spectrum, that's quite chunky, just like the original Ground Control used to be, really good for adverse conditions. And that's what Sam Gay's actually used on the front of his bike at Albstadt in the muddy conditions. The Fast Track though does resemble the tyre it used to be, except it has been improved, and this is from the riders' direct input because they all run this tyre most of the time on their bikes. It's available in 2.1 and in 2.3. And although the carcass sizes are the same, the actual shoulders of the actual tyre tread stick out further, so you've got a little bit more support in cornering. Also, those knobbles are actually spaced further apart, so they do clear mud a bit better. So there you go, so there's some really cool new tyres from Specialized, great price points too. Now, my favourite actual bit of tech from this particular event was getting hands-on with that new Lefty Occo fork. I chatted to Lefty Larry, who's one of the development people behind that fork, and of course all the original Lefty fork designs, and he took me through it. Now this thing really is a masterpiece of engineering. To create a single crown fork that's that stiff, offers 100mm of travel, it's just a phenomenal piece of engineering. Really, really cool. Now you might have noticed that most of the cross-country racers these days are actually on full suspension bikes. Albstadt last weekend was actually a bit of an anomaly where they ended up riding for the short course XCC hardtails and taking it through to the main race. But here at Nove Mesto, pretty much everyone is back on full suspension bikes, including Team Cross, who now have a full suspension bike at their disposal. It's called the Earth, it's full carbon fibre, 100mm of travel, and it's got quite an aggressive 68.5 degree head angle. It might sound pretty steep to you enduro people out there, but actually as far as XC goes, where you're nearly up in the 70s, it's actually pretty radical. Check that bike out. That's going to be a surefire winner on the XC scene. Now, I was checking out Nino Schurter's very own bike, and this thing obviously is a bit of a work of art, and it's got the most amount of Nino Schurter personalisation you could ever imagine on a bike. But up front, he's got a brand new handlebar on there. So it's a similar bar to the Hickson, which is a bar by Syncros that myself, Blake and Neil use on our bikes. That's a one-piece bar and stem or integrated cockpit. So this new one's called the Fraser. It's a cross-country specific one, but in this case, it's the Nino Schurter Special Edition, which has a 90mm virtual length on there of the stem. It's kind of odd the way it sits because you actually the bar sweep back towards you. So it's a 90mm vertical length, and it's a -25 negative rise on that thing. It's a pretty insane bit of kit. It's ultra light, very comfortable and very trick. Okay, so now it's time for Bike Cave. We get to check out where you guys work on your bikes, where you keep your bikes, all that sort of stuff. Could be the back of a van, could be a garden shed, could be the loft, it could be a dedicated bike cave. So send them in, the email address is on the screen. Don't forget to use that hashtag Bike Cave so we can find your entries. Meantime, first one this week is from Mark and Danny, who are based in Whitehorse, Yukon in Canada. Hey guys, we love your show, especially learning about new tech and stuff. This is our bike cave with my new 2018 Giant Trance Advance and my daughter's 2015 Giant Talon 2. Hey, that looks like a pretty trick. It looks got wooden in there. Is that a shed? I can't quite make it out. I like all the helmets hanging on the wall there. Giants, obviously very nice bikes. Good colourway on that, in fact. Got your keyboard set up with your second monitor on there. I can't see GMBN Tech on the screen though. You might have had an extra bonus point if that was the case. Maybe for next time. But it's nice. I like your little mug in there, a nice cup of tea with your bicycle logo on there. That's a nice entry. In fact, I lied. I can see rewind on the screen. Oh my God, I've been called out by myself. So thank you for supporting us, Mark and Danny. Awesome stuff, and I like your bike cave. Next up is from Ryan Woodcock. Hi Doddy, I'm 15 and love the show. Here is my bike cave. This looks a little bit more familiar to me. It says radio control car on the wall. Is that a Subaru WRX Impreza? I mean, it looks like one to me. You've got a 661 helmet by the looks of it on the wall there. Quite a few other bikes. I could see some Magura HS33s in the background there. Why is that not in the picture? But I guess that's not your bike. So you've got a skateboard in there. You've got your Cannondale R-Zone in there. Very nice. Good little toolbox at the back there. I'm sure that is going to grow as your bike arsenal does in time. Love the fact you've got swivel vice there as well. They are really useful, especially for working on forks and stuff like that. Just make sure you use the soft jaws in the vice because you don't want to damage any parts of your bike. So next up is something I'm really excited about. It's our first ever video bike cave entry, and this is from Eric, the mountain biker. Hey Doddy, I collected a pretty cool video of my bike cave. You'll be able to tell I feel pretty fortunate to have it. PS, if you ever come to Wisconsin for the Fat Tire Fest, let me know and we'll go for a ride. Mate, I will definitely hook up for a ride with you if I'm ever out that way. I have no idea if we will be or not. Maybe I can convince Blake into it because he's into his fat bikes. But anyway, check out Eric's video right now.
Hey Doddy, my name's Eric and this is a quick video tour of my bike cave. So as you can see, this is basically a garage and it's converted into a workspace. We've got Paolo Pezzo back there gracing the door to my compressor room. This used to be a paint shop. As you can see, there's lights everywhere, so I can see any nook and cranny I need to on a bike. I've got bikes hanging on the wall. I've got skateboards hanging on the wall. That's an old Transition trailer park. I actually named that bike. That's why I got that frame. As you can see, I've got bikes. From a Roubaix to a BCA mountain bike to an Element to a Spot Tie to a 575 to, of course, the Triumph. Next to the Triumph is a Batmobile. That's my son's. His bike's inside. It's a little Strider. Again, this is my bike cave. I feel very, very fortunate to have it. I am glad to be able to share it with you as well. I am from Wisconsin, near where the Squamigan Fat Tire Festival is. I know you guys might not get here for that. If you do, look me up and we'll go riding. Thanks.
Oh, Eric, you're a man after my own heart. I absolutely love everything about your bike cave there. And just in reflection of that, I'm just going to throw you to my one, which I'm still in the middle of making. Okay, cool. So let's have a little look at my bike cave that's just coming on slowly, but it's getting there. So as you can see behind me, the workbench is finally in place. That's all bolted down and rock solid. All my power points are working. Got the sink for cleaning bike bits here. I will have a part washer on the side as well. Got my kettle for making tea, more importantly. And as you might see, I'm starting to get a few little park tool bits and pieces in here. I've got my work stand there ready to build up and a park tools stall. But all this lot is going to be going. I'll be putting my bike hooks on the wall here. But before I do all of that, I need to get some decent ground anchors. And I'm going to show you how to install those in your own bike caves in case you don't already know that, because they're vital for making sure that your stuff is safe. So we're definitely going to take a look at that one. And of course, I'm going to put my big wheeled rolling cabinet that's going to sit in there. And over here I've got two more of these wardrobes, so these are going to go up to the ceiling height all the way across to fill that void. I'm going to build a unit for the underneath there that's going to have my shoes and all that sort of stuff. And then up here, I'm going to have a bar all the way around, which we're going to be able to use to hang lights from in order to film the show in here. And also it's going to be used for like pull-up bars and stuff like that. So it's going to be multi-use. There we go, it's coming on bit by bit. Let's see your ones, get them in at the usual address. So I will update you furthermore as I go on. I'll be doing those ground anchors as I mentioned soon. So keep an eye out for that. Okay, so now it's time for Rewind, which is of course our retro section of the weekly show. We get to look at some of your old kit, your old bikes, your friends' bikes, maybe a cool old bike you've seen in a bike shop or even at a race. Whatever it is, send it in, use that hashtag Rewind so we can find it, and let's get cracking. And our first entry is from Todd. GMBN Tech and GMBN are the best mountain bike channels on YouTube. Keep up the good work. Awesome, I'll make sure I tell Martin, Neil, Blake and all the rest of the crew, thank you for supporting us. So this is my submission for Rewind. It's a 1991 Brave Warrior. Brave was a boutique SoCal frame builder back in the late 80s and early 90s. For those who are not familiar with elevated chainstay bikes, they were designed to combat the problem of chain suck. In case you wonder what chain suck is, literally your chain would be rattling up and down and you'd get caught between a tyre and a chainstay, and as your wheel rotates, the tyre would actually pull the chain in behind there, called chain suck. Quite often it would jam in there, always at a really bad moment. This bike always got lots of comments, not just because of the colour. Oh my days, look how narrow the bars are. They've got to be like, I reckon, 18-inch bars. Actually, maybe 19s, because I remember having 18-inch bars and mine was so narrow I had to have one brake lever higher than the other, so they didn't touch. You got original SRAM grip shifts on there. You got little brake lever grips, Sakai Power Bulge titanium handlebars on there. Man, that splatter paint finish, and the fork, look at the fork. Proper tange. Butted. Is that triple butted? I think it probably is. That's nice. Not too sure about the crankset. Is that a, I can't tell if that's a bipost or not. I don't think it is. It's just a dual SIS. XT front derailleur. Of course the derailleur is fairly redundant these days. Out back, oh my god, there's not many gears on there. That's not a period rear derailleur though, unfortunately. I guess you had to keep it rolling though, but look at that frame, look how tight the back end is. Of course, that was another reason elevated chainstay bikes were used, was to shorten that chainstay length without creating that big problem around the bottom bracket yoke area with mud clearance and tyre clearance and all that sort of stuff. Ah, oh, look at your fork. Nice pair of RockShox on there with a custom fork brace. Are they XT cantilevers they look like, with cool stop brake pads in red? I think they are. Looking good. Oh man, that is a seriously retro monster. Seat post looks a little bit like a US seat post from the UK, but I'm not sure if it is or not, and there can't see it in detail. Oh man, thank you Todd for sending that in. That is a killer looking bike on there. So cool. Really pleased to see that one. Next up is from Matthew Chappie. This one's a bit different because it's actually a modern bike, but we're going to let him off with this because it's a Fat Chance Yoedi Team 29er, which I checked out actually at Sea Otter, one of these, and it's like a modern retro bike. It's still hand built, it still bears the Fat Chance Team Yoedi graphics and of course that amazing colourway, but it looks just like the retro bike, but it's trail ready for modern days. 29-inch wheel. That's a hell of a bike. Lovely bike there, Matthew. Thanks for sending that one in. Oh, in case you want to know what the original version of that bike looked like, look at this one now. This is a shot of a bike I took at a UK trade show a few years ago. Okay, next up is from Ken McNally in Sydney, Australia. Hey Ken, how you doing? Big fan of all things GMBN for a while now. Really enjoy all the tech, guide, challenge videos. Haven't done much riding. My 2015 Trance one got stolen earlier this year. Oh man, that should be a genuine crime. That's a shame. Currently looking for something enduro in the 29er, maybe like a Special Stumpy. Yeah, that's a really nice bike and really good all-rounder actually, so definitely worth considering. Anyhow, here's my retro Diamondback V-Link. I remember these. 3.2, I paid it off over a year at my local bike shop when I was 16 working at McDonald's. That is exactly what I used to do when I was working in bike shops, just pay off stuff in instalments. Pretty proud when I paid this guy off, and it cost a lot more than my mate's first car. Ton of memories with this bike. Little worse for wear, but is what it is. Oh man, I so remember that. So that's quite an early sort of, that was a faux bar. Looks like a 4-bar, except it hasn't got a chainstay pivot, it's got a seat stay pivot. So it means it's a linkage driven single pivot bike, but very active back under there. A set of Judies on the front of there by the looks of it. I'm not sure what the shock is. Could have been a no lean perhaps in that era. Yeah, as you say, it's looking a bit sorry for itself now, but that's still like a pretty decent frame by all accounts. definitely cool to see that one. Thanks for sending that one in, Ken, and I hope you make a decision on getting a new bike soon. It will change your life. There we go, that was a wicked little trip down memory lane. Don't forget to send your entries in. Love seeing those bikes. If they're earlier than the year 2000, they're almost certainly going to get featured on the show, because that's what we really look for. But we'll take anything that's got a retro sort of vibe to it, or perhaps some kind of modern retro classic. All right, now it's all about top mods. This is the bikes and the stuff that you have been modifying yourselves at home. That could be changing a set of tyres, maybe converting them to tubeless, or it could be building up a bike yourself. No matter how small or how big your top mods are, send them in. Let us see what you're doing. Maybe you just want to throw it out there and get some advice, or maybe you're not sure what to modify your bike with next. Send them in, usual address, use that hashtag top mods. First up this week is from Rob Taylor, who's out in the States with his 2017 Da Vinci Cabane. This is my first high-end mountain bike, and it took years to save for. I went for the plus size for the best bang for my buck. I use it to race enduro and trail on there, so the modifications I made reflect that. I upgraded the stock 120mm RockShox fork with a 140mm factory Fox 34 float fork. Nice upgrade there. This slackened the bike out a bit and it rides much better now. I also set the tyres up tubeless. Yeah, you've got to do that. Like, that is just one of the best mods you can do to a bike. And I also put an old pair of Crank Brothers mallets on there that I rebuilt myself with the help from your videos. Oh, dude, like, that's awesome. Good work. Always good to get an old bike part and bring it back to life again with a bit of home improvements there. I plan on upgrading the 10-speed drivetrain on the bike once it wears out to a Box 1 drivetrain. Nice. I really liking the Box 1 stuff, because I like those guys are really trying to do something different. Hey, I like all the colour coding on your bike, and even actually on those crank pedals, the blue spring sort of matches your bike frame quite well. Is that a trail cat? Do they count? Is it a trail cat? I like a trail cat. I'd have a trail cat, definitely. But nice bike, mate. Yeah, good work. And well worth spending the money on. Obviously, take your time over the years and you're going to end up with like a hyper bike in levels there. So good mods there, Rob. Thank you for sending that one in. Next up is from Lee Holdman. This is my pride and joy. I've slowly been upgrading over the last 2 years. The most recent additions include a Fox Float Performance rear shock, a KS dropper post, good choice that, and finally going tubeless. Whee, about time. Pictures were taken in Sardine Canyon. Thanks for looking. I'll tell you what, you should win an award for those pictures, because that is a beautiful looking place. Classic single pivot design there. Looking very tidy with that dropper post. I like your use of black everywhere on the bike. Those big tyres on there. Ergon grips as well. I like those. Run those myself. Hey, that's really nice. Good entry there, and good to see you upgrading that stuff, especially things like going tubeless, because it does remove a lot of the hassle when you do get a puncture, because usually they do tend to seal themselves up. Hey, that's good work. And last one this week, this is a big one. This is from Dennis in Bodrum, Turkey. A year ago, I bought a second-hand Giant Rain Zero, a 2012 model, and I made some modifications. So I changed all the suspension linkage bearings with new and better ones. It was a bit of a pain without the bearing removal tool, but good work for getting that done. I'm guessing you got it right, because it must still work now. Swapped the stem out with a Giant Contact Freeride 55mm, changed the bar to a 780mm wide bar, and put some Lizard Skins Danny Mac signature grips. Not too comfortable for long rides, but they look cool. Well, which we all know that's the most important thing. It's how you look. That's like front man in a band, isn't it? It's not what you sound like, it's what you look like, surely. Made some frame protection with a foam-like material and used the same material to stop cable rattle. Yeah, that's always good. A noisy bike is just a pain in the arse, isn't it? Not the sort of thing you want to be riding. Now this one I like. Check this out. So I added a different foam to protect the shock's bottom linkage from mud and dirt. So there used to be a product, I don't know if it still exists, called Moto Foam, and a lot of motocross racers used to stuff it in between springs and stuff it in areas of the bike where mud would collect. And it's like a porous foam, but it doesn't absorb moisture or water, so it takes up the space that mud would get into otherwise, so actually keeping your bike lighter. Now I can't remember whose bike it was, but one of the XC racers recently posted a picture of their bike from Albstadt, and at the end of the race her bike was over 6 pounds heavier just with the mud it attracted during the race. So Moto Foam is actually a really, really good mod. Maybe I'll do some more winter-based mods when we get around to that time of year again, but that'll definitely be on there. Thanks for the tip on that one, Dennis. The previous owner took the dropper post before selling it to me, so unfortunately I end up using a quick release because everything's very expensive for me here in Turkey. Well, I'll tell you what, if you don't want to do the expensive route, why not look at the original options like the Height Right they're back in the market again. Have a look at this on the screen now. All right, now it's time for Tech of the Week. Of course, we've seen loads of cool stuff around here in the pits at Nove Mesto, but the thing that really stood out to me actually is what I spotted on Nino Schurter's bike, and it's what looks to me, in my eyes at least, a production-worthy set of that new SRAM electronic shifting, which of course is wireless. Now this is a real technological advance in shifting, because you don't have to have a bike design that has to cater for the internal batteries and the wires and all the other stuff that can go wrong. Of course, don't get me wrong, I don't think it's for everyone. This is purely for the race crew out there, and although I love the novelty of electronic shifting without any wires, I definitely want to try it, but I'm not sure it's what I would want on my bike. However, have a look at this rear mech. So the one we saw at Stellenbosch was black box labelled, which, as we know, is what RockShox and SRAM do in their development program. So we knew it wasn't a finalised item. Looked a little bit more chunky in that CNC'd finish, but look at the black one that's on his bike now. That looks a lot more refined and certainly a lot closer to a production offering. But the other thing that actually really stands out to me is the shifter. Now, we weren't allowed to see this shifter at Stellenbosch, but it was left on the bike. We were just told not to play with it, not to change gear with it, which I have to say I really wanted to and had to resist that urge. But it's got a cool kind of dual lever on it. It's got a finger, which I guess you can tap down shift on there, and it's got a thumb, which looks like you can up and down shift with that. So depending on what you're doing in the saddle, out the bar, sprinting, you get options of how you want to use that. And I bet you can probably tailor that in some sort of program how you want that to perform as well. As soon as you have all the information on that SRAM ETAP system, we will let you know. Okay, a bike build update. Obviously, it's not much of an update. I'm not in the office, but I do know, because I've got 2 delivery slips, that things have turned up via the delivery man. And one of them I know is a set of DT wheels, so I'm very happy about that. And I'm hoping the other one might be some handlebars and stem. You're gonna have to wait till next episode to see what they are. What I'm gonna attempt to do is kind of sling it together a bit, so you can actually get an idea, a bit of rolling chassis there to see how it's gonna start coming together. Update next week. Sorry guys. So there we go, there's another episode on the fly, as you were, of the GMBN Weekly Tech Show. So hopefully you enjoyed the show and you got something out of it. Let us know what you think in the comments below, especially all the stuff that was in news, or maybe the Tech of the Week stuff on Nino's bike, because I think that's really quite cool at the moment. And for a couple more great videos, click down here to see all the XE tech from Nove Mesto, and click down here for trailside maintenance mistakes. We've all made them, we've all done them, and this is hopefully how to get around them or to stop doing them in future. As always, click on the round globe to subscribe, share it around, tell all your mates about us, and if you like the GMBN Weekly Tech Show, give us a thumbs up.